Yo, what's up everybody, it's Fright Delight. I'm feeling spicy today, so I had to hit y'all with a double upload and talk about Cube made in 1997. This is when movies like Event Horizon, Dante's Peak, and Money Talks were made. The movie's about several strangers attempting to find their way out of a cube-shaped maze that's rigged with deadly traps at almost every turn. And from what I understand, the general reception of the film is that the claustrophobic atmosphere alongside the thought-provoking premise makes this a cult classic that people are really starting to come around to. Also, what the filmmakers were able to do with under $500,000 makes people appreciate the movie more. One of the constant negatives I see for the film is that the over-the-top acting from the cast, especially the main character, takes them out the movie. And I also seen that the movie has an intense "that's it" feeling, which I couldn't agree more. The last time I got that feeling was when I seen the ending to Gone Girl, and that wasn't too long ago. Anyways, you'll hear my thoughts after I recap the movie and end it off with a tier list. Now let's stop playing and get out this cube. The movie starts off with a man waking up in, you guessed it, a cube. He opens the different hatches looking into the entrances and comes across one that looks safe enough. Oop, never mind. His body gets split like that dude from the first Resident Evil. Sometime later, we meet Quentin, one of the main characters, climbing into a room with a similar setup. He wakes up a stranger that has the name Worth written on his shirt, and the reaction he gives to him waking up is priceless. Seconds later, the two are surprised when one of the hatches starts to turn. Quentin's already on guard and he yoinks the person out and is about to hit her with the Falcon Punch, but stops once he realizes she's not a threat and apologizes. Her name is Holloway and she freaks out and screams, "Oh my god, there's a black guy in here." No, I'm playing. She doesn't say that, but there is a woman screaming on the other side of the doors, freaking her out a bit. Quentin opens up the hatch and tells her to shut the hell up before he gets her into the main room. Just as she enters, another person comes from the top hatch. His name is Renz. While the group is talking about exactly what's going on, Renz takes both his boots and uses an unconventional way of moving from one room to another to avoid the traps in place. Quentin and the group try to figure out what's going on, and that's when Holloway suggests aliens, but that gets shot down quick. Now Quentin and Renz are on the same page about moving straight through the cube to get out that mofo.
It can't be that simple.
Well, you got a point, but how do we get out of here? Well, nobody has an idea yet, but Quentin does tell everyone to stay calm. He's a cop and he'll get everyone out of there. Renz boots one of the rooms before the group crawls inside. This is when Levin comes across the numbers in the crawl space. As the group tries to figure out what the numbers mean, Holloway slightly panics about the situation, saying they don't have time for that and they have about 3 days before they roll over and die from a malnutrition or thirst, whichever gets to them first. Anyways, Renz boots another room but feels skeptical because he smells gas. Why didn't the sensor go off then? But this makes Quentin suspicious and questions Ren, but quickly realizes Ren is actually a world famous prisoner who broke out of 7 major prisons. Pretty much the El Chapo of this movie. After the realization, the crew starts to get hopeful, but Ren tells them off rip he's only helping them because he needs their boots. The man hypes himself up for a bit and gives a speech that doesn't motivate anybody, and then he makes his way to the next room and gets cooked by a hidden trap. The entire gang is in shock while Worth makes the same face I do when the shit I'm taking gets serious. With that gruesome image in their heads, everyone sits in silence before Quentin reassesses things and questions everyone on who they are. We know he's a cop and Renz was a 7-time prison escapee. We also find out Holloway is a doctor, Levin is a college student but doesn't say what her major is, and Worth just works at an office job doing office things. Well, this makes Quentin's gears turn, questioning why Levin still has her glasses. He quickly figures out that she studies math in school and he asks her to look at the numbers to see if there's anything she can read off of them. Levin finds out that all the numbers are prime and takes it a step further, letting the crew know that the rooms without prime numbers are safe.
Wait. How can you make that assumption based on one prime number trap?
Shit, I had the same question, but she convinces me by jumping straight in there. This starts a montage of Levin solving cube after cube for presumably hours. They all start to get a little restless the deeper they venture through the various rooms. They come to stop in another one of the green rooms to figure out where to go until Quentin the Inquisitive climbs to the top of the room and opens the hatch above. Now, what kind of stupid... Oh, never mind. This is when we find Kazar, a mentally handicapped person that's been getting around the cube on his own. He doesn't say much. He just starts screaming to us in the next scene where Levin starts to get mentally tired, but Quentin pushes her to keep going. Quentin jumps into the room where a wire trap goes off but barely escapes and get his leg sliced. Kazar is in the back screaming like he's the one that got cut up.
I don't know what happened. It wasn't prime.
Kazar, will you shut the hell up? While Worth goes to the next room to get Kazar, Quentin tells the crew that he doesn't trust them and he's been pretty vague about what he actually does. Worth returns and makes suspicions grow when he comes back and asks this dumbass question.
So what happened?
Sometime later, the group is resting in the same room while Levin is deciphering the numbers. Things start to get tense between Quentin and Worth, leading to some interesting dialogue. Kazar breaks the tension for a short time by pissing in the corner, but this turns things from bad to worse because now there's a nasty ass smell in there. Then Worth slips up and exposes himself, telling everyone that he worked on the outer shell.
I'm the poison. I designed the outer shell.
My granddad said if you let a man talk long enough, he'll tell on himself. After asking some great questions, the crew finds that he, alongside everyone there that worked on the cube, had no idea what each other were working on, and if they did, it was only a small part of the entire project, splitting up the knowledge of what the place really is. Worth's nihilistic way of thinking starts to make sense and starts to get to Quentin a bit until he says fuck it and starts whooping Worth's ass like he stole something. Right before the finishing blow, Levin stops the one-sided fight in a dramatic way and then talks to Worth a bit, finding a little bit more information like the dimensions of the cube, and Levin estimates that there's over 17,000 rooms. And that let me know two things. One, they're gonna be in there a while, and two, I would have been cooked inside this cube. At this point, Levin believes she can find the exit using the numbers as coordinates. After going through a few of the rooms, the crew ends up in a dead-end safe space. The crew comes to find that the next room that's supposed to be safe has a trap that's activated by sound. Damn, I guess they have to make a detour.
I say we cross the bitch.
Damn, Quentin, just like that? Well, alright. He doesn't want Kazar to go because of him being such a wild card, but Holloway vouches for him. And the way the conversation of mortality goes reminds me of the convo in season 2 of The Walking Dead when Dale was trying to convince the crew to let Randall stay at the farm. Quentin reluctantly agrees and decides he'll be the last to go and eases everyone down the hatch one by one, starting with Worth. He quietly climbs through the room like a jungle gym, getting down to the bottom with fear in his eyes. He opens the hatch as quietly as he can. He's successful and makes it through, and the rest follow. The second to last to drop in the room is Kazar, and immediately he starts with that bullshit. Quentin makes his way down until the bottom hatch starts to open. It doesn't activate the trap, but I do have a feeling something's about to... I clenched my booty cheek so hard for this scene, and I don't blame Quentin for feeling some type of way. They damn near killed dude twice. Kazar might just have to get his ass whooped like Worth. Holloway steps in the way and calls Quentin a Nazi. Well, he doesn't appreciate this and slaps Holloway like Carlos did Lisa in Medea's family reunion. All you hear is "damn" in the background before Worth opens up the door, revealing that the bee? Nothing. Well, it's too dark to tell for the crew. Quentin suggests to lower himself on the outskirts, but Holloway volunteers instead, being the lightest in the room. With some ingenuity, the group creates a makeshift rope, getting Holloway closer to seeing what's on the other side. The crew holds on tight, but a sudden shift in the cube causes everyone to lose their footing and drops Holloway. Quentin is the first to jump to the rescue, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Sometimes I laugh at the things I really shouldn't be laughing at, and this is one of those times. Holloway gets pulled all the way up by Quentin just for him to look in her eyes before he drops her. And the excuse he gives that everyone eats up had me laugh even more. The crew mourns and takes a quick nap that's edited in a weird way that hurt my eyes. So I'm gonna fast forward and get to where Quentin separates him and Levin from the rest of the crew. He tries to get her on board by leaving them behind and weirdly tries to cop a field and gets rejected. Worth gets there right after and saves Levin from the abduction, but in turn gets his ass whooped and thrown down the hatch below. Worth lets out a Joker-like laugh, realizing he got thrown into a safe room. And not only that, but they ended up back in the room Renz died in. Quentin starts to lose hope, falling to his knees like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But Worth notices that there used to be a room where the empty space is, and comes to the realization that the rooms have been moving around this entire time, which is why they've been feeling sudden shifts in the cube throughout the movie. After reevaluating the coordinates, Levin in that big fat juicy brain of hers realizes where the exit is. She does some calculations. The -1 on the x-axis carry the y, and what the hell does that even mean?
You suck at math?
Dang, Levin, thanks a lot. You keep playing, I'm gonna get 12 on your ass. Anyways, after a montage of the crew looking at each of the passing rooms, tensions start to rise and Levin reaches her breaking point as the numbers get even larger. In the midst of the frustration, Kazar reveals that he's been a boy genius this whole time by giving the crew the factors of every number he hears in exchange for a bag of gun drops when they get out. But to make sure the room's safe, Quentin throws Worth through the hatch like the Fresh Prince. Quentin and his crusty ass lips would have had to catch a fade with me cause Worth gets him back by choking him out with the door and locking him out. They don't get far before Quentin burst through the door and Worth with the double tap. That's what I like to see. After a brief montage, the three make it back to one of the last safe rooms before he gets separated. No, well that doesn't last long because Worth finds them quick and does help when Kazar screams like he's seen a ghost. Worth brings Kazar back to the safe room where Levin is just in time before the cube starts to shift to the bridge. Levin comes to the realization that this is the very room they started in. Well, I guess there's no sense in crying about it now when we're so close to the outside. Just when things are looking up, this dude Worth tries to sit his ass down like the job is done. He starts talking about how he has nothing to live for. Man, if you don't put a pair of nuts on to get your ass through this door, just as Levin is about to tell him the same thing, she gets stabbed by Quentin. No! And how do you even get there so fast? Well, there's no time to ask questions. This man is out here on a mission. He not only drops my girl Levin, but he drops Worth too. Kazar gets out of the cube in time, but Quentin grabs him by the collar. In the last seconds, just before the cube shifts for the last time, Worth holds Quentin back from being able to escape the cube and get to Kazar. With one leg in and one leg out, the cube starts to shift, splitting Quentin in two in the worst way. Worth really showed his worth.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Not long after the chaos, Kizaru slowly walks out into the unknown world, not knowing what lies ahead, ending the movie. Hey, before we get started, did anyone else think Kizaru was gonna start walking like he didn't have a disability? I really thought he was gonna pull a doofy at the end of Scary Movie. Anyways, that was the end of Cube, made in 1997. A movie that's a slow burn, but the more you immerse yourself, the more enjoyable it becomes. Start with some of the positives. I love the character dynamics and how they start to shift towards the third act of the film. The two main changes being Worst's character being a nihilist that gains a sense of hope. Then you have Quentin's character that starts off as your standard hero, then turns into a person that's much more sinister. I'm not saying I'm on Quentin's side, but I can understand his character to a certain degree, especially after back-to-back near-death experiences accidentally coming from people within your crew. I know I can't speak for anyone but myself, but imagine you wake up in the cube with a group of people you don't know, and over the course of you being there, one person loses their life and you almost lose yours twice because of the people you're surviving with. I think at the very least people will start to have a side eye to what's going on. Now, Worth's character is really interesting to me because throughout the whole film there's a question he's asked that he never really answers, and that's, why don't you just lay down and die? It is a valid question seeing how he says he doesn't think anything matters, but goes through each cube with the crew gaining little amounts of hope along the way until he bullshits towards the end. His whole character is a contradiction in itself, and almost every person in the film goes against what we're led to believe about their own characters. I already mentioned the two main examples being Worth and Quentin, but another notable character is Kizaru. The entire film you're led to believe that he's a special ed dude that could barely take care of himself, but towards the later part of the movie, you discover he's actually a genius. What I'm saying is the growth in the characters we see makes sense for their characters, even though it's a 180 shift. And not only that, but a lot of how the characters reacted was explained through the dialogue, like when we see the crew asking Kizaru about the numbers. He started to ask for gumdrops, letting me know that whoever he was staying with taught him math using the gumdrop method. It's nice to have a movie make characters' actions make sense through dialogue instead of just saying, fuck it, it doesn't make sense, but they'll figure it out. I mean, in the beginning, you have the supposed escape artist getting folded in the first 40 minutes of the movie. And right before he got cooked, he was hyping himself up, talking about how many prisons he escaped, and if they want to live, listen to him. Then you have Quentin's character talking about Holloway slipped. And speaking of Quentin, the actor Maurice Dean Wint had a lot of scenes where he was overacting and honestly made me enjoy the movie a lot more. Now on to the negatives, which I just have a few. To start, I think there was some stylistic choices that didn't work for me. Most notably is the sleep transition towards the later part of the film. It felt out of place and the editing choice was a pain on the eyes, at least to me. Another negative I have is how dramatic the film can get at times. How certain scenes were played out because they were trying to invoke a reaction out of you doesn't hit as much as it should have because of the way the scenes are portrayed. Now this may contradict what I said earlier about the overacting being a positive for me, but when it comes to those scenes that you really want to feel a certain way are shown, they're as effective as raid on roaches. Shit doesn't work, or at least it has the opposite effect, making you laugh. And my final negative for the film is the ending. When I seen Kizaru walk out and the screen turned to white, I almost feel cheated out of a reveal. The entire movie we follow characters risking their lives to escape the cube, and when we finally get there, I get blueballed. Nah, I'm not a fan of that. Even though I like the ambiguity of not knowing what's on the other side, having an entire movie build up to a point and not show me the culmination of everything makes me frustrated as a viewer. I'm not sure how true this is, but I read somewhere that apparently the end of the cube, they actually show Kizaru walking out, and instead of it fading to white, it shows him on the beach looking at an endless ocean. And when he turns around, the cube's exit vanishes and the sky is full of other cubes or exoplanets. They say that the promotional art backs that up, and if that's true, they can keep that and I'll live with the version we got. I guess less seasoning is better than more sometimes. So all in all, if you like to watch slow burn films that has an interesting premise with entertaining dialogue and characters that are overacted in a good, not annoying way, then you could believe my rating of Spooky Sober, even though it's not spooky at all. Well, homies, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for making it this far. Let me know what you thought about Cube in the comments below, even if you disagree with me. And if you enjoyed this video and have any movies that you want me to cover in the future, put that in the comments below too. Go ahead and trap that like or subscribe button in the Cube to see more reviews like this one, and I appreciate y'all coming to a Fright Delight. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.